This is how we do it. Na, na, na.
Ah, little Montel Jordan to kickstart your Thursday.
Exactly. Thursday. I got to remember that too because it is Thursday and we are dropping the Fantasy Football Happy Hour podcast a day early here. So, welcome to another episode, guys. We are back with a lot of stuff to talk about as we head into week five, not four, not six, week five, which really kind of sucks because we're closing in on closer and closer to being without football. It just feels like the season flies by and there's like 9,000 months without football. But we got a lot to talk about. We're not going to recap Thursday night's game because Thursday night's game has not happened yet. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. Matthew Fox is going to highlight some of his favorite games of the week. I'm going to give you some of my favorite bets of the week. And then we're going to talk a little DFS, a little movie talk, and then we're going to be out the door. As always, I'm joined by my partner here, Mr. Matthew Fox. How are you, sir?
Doing pretty good. It's been an exciting week. I wanted to add to the stress of the peak of NFL season, the peak of movie awards season, and having to work a full-time job by doing a major home renovation, which started on Monday. So this was good life planning on my part.
Doesn't seem like the brightest ideas you've ever had. I'm just going to throw that out there.
No, I'm feeling the same way.
I am more exhausted for other reasons. I partook in the Nashville Film Festival yesterday. I was covering it for the Nashville Noise all week. My final reviews will go up at some point today. But yesterday I spent my entirety of the day inside the movie theater. I had an interview in the morning, a second interview in the after, right before I left, head down, and at 1, 3:30, 6:30, and 9:30, I watched back-to-back movies. I was very tired, didn't get home till about 1:30 in the morning, and then had to turn around and go back to work. Whose dumb idea was that? That was definitely mine. It was not the brightest decisions I've ever made either. So your two hosts have not made great decisions, but before
sleep is for the week.
Huh?
Sleep is for the week.
Exactly. But I do want to highlight something before we dive right into week five. I want to mention a few things. Last week, I proposed quite a few bets for each and every one of you at home. And I want to say I had a pretty good week. I had the Cleveland money line and Cleveland minus 1.5. Both of those hit. I had the Chiefs minus 6.5. That hit. And then, of course, my favorite prop of the week was the Kirk Cousins over 0.5 interceptions. And while it came close, it knocked it out of the ballpark. I was a perfect score last week. I was, I did miss on the Titans minus 6, which I think everybody missed on that one. The Titans are just stupid. They'll probably go out and beat the Bills in a couple weeks just because, you know what I mean? Like, that's probably what'll happen. But the Titans are stupid. Tannehill sucks. Don't tell our fellow writer on the Music City Drive-In I said that. Oh, wait, I tell him every single time I get an opportunity to in our Music City Drive-In writers group chat. But with that being said, Matthew Fox, I want to turn the table over to you for your games of the week.
Yep, and a good one tonight. Since we're actually on Thursday, we have the Seahawks the Rams are into battle the Seahawks for Thursday Night Football. And for those of you that have been wondering why is the Thursday night game only on the NFL Network, that changes tonight. The Fox NFL Thursday night package and Amazon Thursday night package begins again tonight, probably why we saw a little bit of a step up in the matchup. This is also a huge week because London is calling for the NFL. That is right. We have a London game this week, meaning on Sunday morning. Games begin at 9:30 a.m. and don't end until the wee hours that's 9:30 Eastern, and don't end until the wee hours of the morning. And we've continued our proud tradition of sending nothing but our finest franchises to London as the New York Jets will travel to battle the Atlanta Falcons. And I'm feeling a little bit squeezed right now because I was all in on Matt Ryan as my QB start this week. He looked really good last week. The Jets don't scare me. And now they just announced that Calvin Ridley is not making the trip with the team for personal reasons. Thank you, Falcons. I am going to say I feel like this means it's wheels up for Kyle Pitts. At least that's my hoping. especially with
Gage is out too, right?
yeah, but Taylor May, the Jets safety is out, so hopefully Pitts and Cordero Patterson. I guess I'm now down to needing you badly in my life. The morning window game for Sunday that I like is the Green Bay Packers at the Cincinnati Bengals. This is actually a battle of first place teams. Who would have thought that in week 5, the Cincinnati Bengals would be rolling in with a share of the AFC North lead. Both these teams have looked good at times. So I'm expecting this one to be kind of a fun battle. Both have pretty good passing games. Jair Alexander is trending toward being out, which could be a very good thing if you are a Jamar Chase stakeholder. The afternoon window game on Sunday that I'm looking forward to is Cleveland Browns at the Los Angeles Chargers. Again, 2 teams that have a share of first place. The Browns defense has really come on. Their running game has been strong. Passing game is a little bit more of a question for the Chargers. Their offense has come together, and last week their defense actually looked really good, holding down a red-hot Las Vegas Raiders team. So that should be a pretty fun matchup. The Sunday night game is perhaps the best game of the weekend, the rematch of the AFC Championship as the Buffalo Bills travel to take on the Kansas City Chiefs. The Chiefs defense has been nothing but a rumor, so I'm expecting a Bills team that has scored 40-plus points the last 2 weeks to have another pretty good day, but the Chiefs can score as well. Big questions about will the Bills defense be able to slow them down, but I have Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes as my number 1 and 2 quarterbacks this week. I think this one's going to be a high-scoring affair. And they can't all be winners. On Monday night, we get the Indianapolis Colts at the Baltimore Ravens. It's a game. The Colts did win last week when Frank Reich woke up and remembered that Jonathan Taylor played on his team and actually decided to give him the ball. Meanwhile, the Ravens have the best backfield that 2005 has to offer as they roll out Latavius Murray, Le'Veon Bell, and Devonta Freeman.
Can we talk for a minute why Tyson Williams is just dead now?
He's a healthy scratch last week. I would assume it's going to be the same going forward. I thought he looked really good in week 1, but they started marginalizing his role. I guess they like what the veterans have to offer more. I had suspected Latavius Murray would end up as their leading running back when all was said and done at the end of the season, and that was certainly the way it played out yesterday. The more curious thing to me is Le'Veon Bell, because I thought it was a bad sign when they elevated Freeman and left Bell on the practice squad. But now that they've elevated Bell, Tyson Williams seems to be on the pine. But basically, I mean, I would suspect that one or more of those veterans would be susceptible to injury. And maybe we'll see Williams get to work himself back in. It's very curious to me as well.
So before typically we switch over to the sit and starts, but I'm going to start correlating my sit and starts into the guys that I like into DFS and don't like into DFS, while Matthew Fox gives his starts and sit recommendation for fantasy football. So I'm going to give you the bets that I like this week. I've been on the board a little bit. It's a little early in the week for me to really kind of hone in. I know tomorrow's only one day, but a lot can happen from Thursday to Friday in the NFL. We saw just today with Ridley and stuff like that kind of being out. But there's 4 bets that I'm really leaning on right now. I like them a whole lot. I am big on the Packers -3. I like them -3 regardless of Jair Alexander playing. I really think that the Packers are a better team. I think the Bengals are a little overachieving, but I really feel like we're starting to see how much of a difference Joe Burrow is going to make on that football team. I think that it's because of him they are playing good. And that defense is playing a lot better than anybody anticipated they would this year. So I'm excited to see that one. But I'm really leaning on the Packers winning. I think their defense is a little bit more better there. The front 7 is pretty solid, and I think that that's going to cause a little bit of problems for Cincinnati. I like the Panthers -3. I do love the Panthers' move to pick up Gilmore. If he can come out remotely half as good as he used to be off this injury, I really feel like they stole him.
You know he can't. I'm fairly confident he can't play.
No, I know that. No, I know.
Okay.
I'm just talking about.
It was an incredible move. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, and they did it. They apparently busted out in front of everybody by giving up the 6th-round pick, which is brilliant because apparently he was going to be a Packer basically no matter what. And they flew in, and the Patriots got a little bit of compensation. But I think this is a brilliant move for the Panthers in the long term. But The Eagles are just not a good football team. I don't really expect them to win many more before the end of the year. I also like, I got two more plays. I like the Bears plus 5.5 on the road against the Raiders. Obviously, Matt Nagy finally woke up, got his ass kicked, and we're going to see Justin Fields for the remainder of the season. I thought he looked okay last week. He didn't look great. It's also the Lions, so let's temper our expectations a little bit. But I am a little concerned with David Montgomery being out. It's a little bit of concern, but I do think Williams is going to step up, and I think Khalil Herbert is going to do a little bit of work too. I do think that it's a little bit in the mix, but I do think that we see a lot more out of Fields on the ground possibly this week than we have so far. And I just think that they're a better team. And I still like the Raiders, but I still feel like the Raiders are overachieving. And I'm not sure the Raiders are good enough to be 5.5 point favorites. Like, that's the big one for me. 5.5 is a big number, so that's why I give me the Bears plus 5.5. And the last one we talked about the slugfest that's going to be Monday night. I like the Colts plus 7 on the road. I think that's a high number for the Ravens. I don't know if the Colts win. I'm not that confident, but I do think that it's a close game. The Colts defense look good. And they do have a good defense, and I think Carson Wentz is a capable enough quarterback as long as, like you said, as long as they remember who they have at running back, and as long as they pound the rock, I think that they can make that a football game. Like, don't get me wrong, Lamar Jackson has looked decent this year, a lot better throwing the football as well. But I really kind of expect that game to be a lot closer than the numbers ensue right now. So I like the Colts plus 7 heading into Monday night. I don't know. Like I said, I don't believe they're going to win, but I do like them to at least cover that 7-point spread.
Looks like our friend John has his own player that he likes on comments.
Le'Veon Bell for president. President of the third string running back. I'm still.
You know what? Bell was my favorite non-Bronco in fantasy for so long. I had so many shares, and I held on to them after he held out, even when he went to the Jets. But it doesn't seem like we're ever gonna quite get back to that level. So I have trouble believing. But your bets are interesting. We're back on a week where you and I are on opposite sides, because I would pick the Raiders to win by double digits at home against the Bears. But the biggest, when we're talking about Stephon Gilmore and the Panthers, and they're just playing the Eagles, it reminds me of one of my favorite movies is Gettysburg, and they're talking strategy with the generals, the Union cavalry, when they're trying to decide whether they're going to hold the city, which ended up being like a huge strategic move. And the guy's like, well, the whole division won't be online until the morning. And one of the co-generals, they don't need their whole division. That's how I feel about the Panthers. Their whole division won't be online. They don't need their whole defense to beat the Eagles.
Exactly my point. Yeah, it's just they're not good. They're not. And Bengals over Packers, write it down. I'm not convinced on that one. I like the Bengals. I just think that the early season they're one of the teams. They're doing what I thought the Jaguars had potential to do until Urban Myers had somebody dance on his lap. But with that being said, we'll transition over to the sit and start of the week. Matt, who do you like this week as your must starts?
I'm sticking with it, even though I now have a moment of pause. My quarterback start is Matt Ryan. He looked good, and honestly, you know what? He looked incredible with Calvin Ridley not doing much last week. So I'm just gonna. I think this could be a Kyle Pitts game. And Cordero Patterson finally looks like the fantasy player of the year that Matthew Berry called him out to be in 2010, 2012. I don't know. It feels like it's a long time. My running back start, Chase Edmonds, he's actually RB12 on the season. He's been solid as a rusher. He's been solidly involved in the passing game. He has been a big spark plug in that Cardinals offense. I know they're playing the 49ers, but that doesn't really scare me. I think he's earned the right to be in that starting lineup, should return you at least running back 2 value. My receiver start is DJ Moore. Last year, DJ Moore was the 3rd best scoring Carolina Panthers receiver, even though most of us thought he was the most talented. This year, we've seen a total script flip. He is getting the ball. He seems to have great chemistry with Sam Darnold, and it doesn't matter. I think Christian McCaffrey looks like he's trending toward playing. That hasn't mattered. Moore has gotten his even when McCaffrey's in there, and if McCaffrey misses, they lean on him even more. Last week, Trayvon Diggs got 2 interceptions. Looks like a great corner. DJ Moore still got 2 touchdowns. For the Panthers, they're finding creative ways to use him, lining him up in creative ways. I think he's wide receiver 4 on the season. I'm going with him. And then my tight end start, Dalton Schultz. Going into the season, it was fair to wonder, was it going to be Schultz? Was it going to be Jarwin at the tight end? Would tight end even be fantasy relevant? The answer to all those questions has been Dalton Schultz. He has 20 receptions and 3 touchdowns already in 4 games. He looks like he has great chemistry with Dak Prescott, and they are looking for him. That's all you need in a variable position like tight end. If you don't have one of the big heavy hitters, you just need to find somebody that's got a chance, and he's got a chance.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I was a big Dalton Schultz guy going into the season, and I got him for free in a lot of late round things. Another thing to monitor is I know Cooper's got the injury designation. I think he'll play, but if for some reason he doesn't play, that'd be a massive bump for Schultz as well. I like that in DFS as well. For me, starting, like I said, I'm going to correlate mine with the start and sit with the with DraftKings as well. Daniel Jones seems like he's on fire. That team is also on fire, but it looks like he is Michael Vick now, which is kind of strange to kind of watch unfold. I never realized that Daniel Jones was low-key going to be the best running back on this team, which, I mean, I'm not lying to you guys. He's literally averaging 7 yards a carry, and he leads the team in rushing. He's had games of 95, 39, and 27 to start off the year, and I fully expect him to have some, have some success this week. I really like what they're doing out there. I think this team is terrible. I think they're going to continue to be terrible, but they're playing the Cowboys. The Cowboys can be thrown on. We've seen that. I mean, Diggs will probably pick them off at least 3 times, but all he needs is a couple touchdowns and maybe a rushing touchdown, and the upside's there. Kareem Hunt, another one I like. This guy, I don't understand why we got to continue to sleep on this guy. I don't understand what it is. He's a starter week in, week out. I still see his name being slandered on the Twitter sphere. He's only 5,800 this week on DraftKings. I like it a whole lot. And my receiver this week, Laviska Shenault, he's only $4,800 on DraftKings. If you've watched the Titans play this year, I don't know who can't catch on them. So Laviska stepping in a big way in the second half against the Bengals. Actually, in the second half against the Bengals, he went 6 for 99. There was a lot of people early on in the season that were ready to give up on Laviska. If you just looked at his targets, he was getting them. He just wasn't either catching them or he just wasn't able to do anything with them. The targets have been consistently there. He just finally got a chance to produce this past week. And 6 for 99 is beautiful. Again, with Chark out, $4,800, Titans secondary. That's like the lock of the week for me. I really feel like he's going to just go all out again. I could see him getting easily 15 fantasy points when it comes to PPR leagues. I like him a whole lot this week, and I think he's going to do big things. What about your sits for the week, Matt?
Yep. So my quarterback sit is Trey Lance. I know he was the number 3 pick. People are excited about him, but we knew he was going to be a little bit of a project. When he came in for Jimmy G last week, we saw a couple of great touchdown passes, where he found some open receivers, but we saw a lot of throws kind of off the mark. I think it's going to take him some time. We've seen all of these celebrated rookies have gone through growing pains as a starter. I don't know why we don't think that Lance wouldn't fare the same, especially on the road at Arizona, the only undefeated team left in the NFL, somebody that's been opportunistic on defense. I think that, if he's coming in and filling in for Jimmy G, which is seeming more and more likely as we get closer, there's going to be a temptation to want to throw him out there. I would urge caution. I think it's going to take some time to adjust to the game, despite whatever skill set and upside he has. My running back sit is Myles Gaskin. He's RB39 on the year, which ain't great, especially since a lot of people took him to be their solid RB2. Last week, he had 2 carries for 3 yards. Malcolm Brown out-carried him. Salvon Ahmed had as many carries and had more targets. Gaskin got nary a target. And this week he's going up against Tampa Bay. No Thank you. My wide receiver sit on this one is a bit of a painful situation is Cortland Sutton. I love the talent. Week 2 against Jacksonville, seeing him kind of burst out. I thought he was in for a big season. They don't have a lot of other targets, but the passing game looks rough. And honestly, it's 50-50 about whether it's going to be Locke or Bridgewater, and I'm not sure that I'm excited about either of them in Pittsburgh this week. I just don't think the volume is there enough for me to trust Cortland Sutton. He's wide receiver 47 on the year. I have him as wide receiver 40 this week. I love the talent. It's not all come together yet. And my 10-end start is Anthony Ferkser. He's a guy that a lot of people picked up as a trendy sleeper this offseason. He has only played in 2 games, and he has 6 receptions, which sounds good, but only 42 yards, no touchdowns. That passing game is not consistent enough, and now it's trending toward A.J. Brown and Julio Jones being back in the game. They lean heavily on Derrick Henry. I just don't think you can feel good about using Ferkser and hoping that he gets you top 12 value.
Yeah, a real quick question before I hit my sits. Full PPR, need a wide receiver and flex wide receiver 2 because Ridley and CMC. I have AJ, Allen Robinson, Gainwell, Gaskins, McKissick.
I think CMC is going to play, and if CMC plays, I'm putting him in there, because if CMC plays, you got to have him in there. If he sits, for me, it would be Allen Robinson and probably Kenny Gainwell.
Yeah, so for me, the flex and receiver, obviously CMC is your flex hands down, and Robinson's your wide receiver too. And Robinson, yeah, I'm in the same boat with you. I'm Robinson, Gainwell as well. I just Green's not consistent enough. Gaskins has been terrible, and McKissick. I don't know when to start McKissick. The weeks that I've started him, he's gotten me 3 points, and then the weeks that I've sat him, he's gotten 50. So I'm very confused on what
they finally started throwing to Antonio Gibson, which is the hope of all of our hearts. The only reason McKissick might get a bit of an uptick is Logan Thomas went on short-term IR, but Curtis Samuel is back.
Yeah,
and so that's a little bit of a toss-up. But Gainwell seems to be not only getting red zone work, but getting passing down work.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, exactly. Yeah, the Robinson and Gainwell are the right answer. But if CMC starts, obviously you smash CMC, no question to ask. That's why you drafted him. My sits this week, Jameis Winston. I've not been big on this Saints team at all season. I don't think that they're going to be good. After week 1, everybody was crowning them the be-all, end-all, and they were going to win 150 games, et cetera, et cetera. I just don't believe in Winston. He's not consistent enough for me. They should have won last week, period. Sorry, they should have. But his on-again, off-again consistency is really frustrating. Football team haven't been good. I understand that, and you're probably like, oh, start Winston. He's really good. But I just wouldn't do that. Damian Williams, I know he's sexy to start this week. I know he is. I'm just not starting him. I want to see what the timeshare is first. I want to see if Herbert's going to get involved in the passing game, which I think is very much a possibility. Javonte Williams against Pittsburgh, don't love it. I don't love the matchup. I love Williams. I think he's going to be very good for years to come. I don't love this matchup, and I'm with you on Sutton as well. I'm not starting Sutton this week either. Real quick question we have. Some guy offered me Zeke for Najee Harris. No.
Well, in redraft, I'm taking Zeke. In Dynasty, I'm keeping Harris.
What he said. So, yeah, there's some interesting games this week that I haven't really dove into the prop bet so far. Let's see here. So then CMC and Robinson, if CMC plays, yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for that. It's very much appreciated. We're here each and every week. Normally we're here Fridays, but today we kind of cut early and got it on Thursday. So good luck. We hope you win your matchup, and thank you for subscribing. That really means a lot. If you're watching, please subscribe to the show. And make sure to check out Twitter when we're throughout the week. Fox and I drop some stuff throughout the week that could help you with your start and sits and even the questions. And even the morning of, I drop a couple of bets that I like with my buddy Chris Clarkson. Last week, between the two of us, we went 4-0. So we did really good. We started the season, and I was like, hang on, we had a successful season in football. I'm in baseball, but we were struggling to start off. We were 2-5-1 going into this past week, and then we went 4-0. So now we are 6-5-1 on the season with our bets. Basically, on Monday or Sunday mornings, we both provide a bet that we like, and last week we provided 2 prop bets that we liked. And if you would have, and actually won some money, I parlayed all 4 of them together and won quite a few dollars on that, because I didn't expect all 4 to hit. But you gotta, whenever you believe in something, you bet it. Period. Like, it's just what it is. Each week I bet everything that I suggest to you guys, I throw on the table myself. I would not suggest a bet to you guys that I wouldn't bet myself. So with that being said, thank you for the kind words. We are transitioning to our favorite segment of the show, the movie corner. We've got not a lot on the table this weekend. I wouldn't say that there's a lot of fruitful things to really watch this weekend, but The Manor is something that I really enjoyed. I really liked that movie a whole lot. I thought it was definitely unique and different. It's going to come out on Prime Video this weekend. So if it's a horror movie, it's kind of like a psychological thriller style horror movie. So that's what's really kind of got me going on it. I could see why some people may not like it, but for me, I'm excited. I don't know. It was a good time for me, and it takes a lot for me to like a horror movie. So I enjoyed myself. A little movie called No Time to Die is coming out. I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but it's the final installment of the Daniel Craig universe of James Bond. Kind of sad. My favorite Bond.
It was really the first movie that got delayed because of the COVID pandemic, because it was supposed to release on Good Friday in 2020, and it's been pushed back so many times. I'm just going to be happy to finally see it. I feel like I've seen the trailer 500,000 times at this point.
I was going to go see it tonight, but I can't because I'm going to see a screening of The Last Duel. I'm seeing that tonight. And I thought about doing a double feature, but as I mentioned at the top of the hour, I did a whole thing. The Last Duel is 2 hours and 45 minutes or whatever, 230 minutes. And then so is No Time to Die. No Time to Die hits 235, 240. So I'm not really excited to really...
6 hours worth of movies tonight?
Not again. So I'm really uncertain when I'm going to see No Time to Die. I'll probably see it at some point this weekend, but it is what it is. Season 2 finale of Ted Lasso happened. I have not watched the last 2 episodes. So
the season finale, it drops tomorrow.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I forgot that today, Thursday.
People have, I do the recaps. So we've seen screeners. I watched the finale, and I'm just going to say that it's one of my favorite episodes of the show ever. Just such a beautiful episode. A lot to chew on. It's going to be a long off season now. People have made comments about whether, the season being a little uneven. I've really enjoyed this season, and I thought this was the perfect ender, and just a beautiful performance from Jason Sudeikis, who writes the episode. So I can't wait for everyone to get to see it.
Yeah, I think what I'm going to do is I've got some work to do, but as soon as I get off here, I think I'm going to catch up on the last 2 episodes. I'm only 2 episodes behind. Well, 2 episodes according to the critics. Tomorrow the new episode will drop, but I'll see the season finale. I'll watch those here in a few minutes. I'm very excited to kind of dive into that. I'm behind on everything right now except for the important things of life, like season 3 of You. Can't talk about it yet, but I can't talk about that yet though.
So my movie recommendation that I was going to do, there's a little comedy called Queen Pins. It opened in theaters in the beginning of September. Not a ton of people saw it. So it finally dropped for free stream if you have Paramount Plus. Kristen Bell's in it. It's based on a true story about a couple of women in Arizona that start a business hawking fraudulent coupons, and the dedicated postal inspector played by Vince Vaughn, and loss prevention guy for a grocery store chain played by Paul Walter Hauser, who tracked them down. And those 2 guys were hilarious. There was a scene in there, I think I told you when I was watching it with my wife, that made me laugh super hard. Little movie, didn't think a lot of it, but it ended up being a lot of fun. Looks like we got a couple of questions.
Oh, sorry, missed it. Hold on. Yep, I don't pay attention. I forgot. Alex Cousins is running my RB2 slot, so I left CMC in there. Now the question becomes flex spot: AJ Brown, Alex Collins, Gainwell.
Oh, AJ Brown.
AJ Brown if he plays, and then
Gainwell. Yeah,
and then Gainwell.
I'm staying away from Seattle's backfield tonight. Chris Carson has looked not good, and then he's got a back injury, and Alex Collins didn't light the world on fire. I don't think running is how they're going to get it done. And personally, for me, I think the best bet on Seattle, this is just a gut feeling, is Tyler Lockett, because I think Ramsey rotates over to Metcalf.
Trade D-Hop and Montgomery for Najee and Mike Evans. Is this
David Montgomery? So I'm going to be honest, whether it's redraft or dynasty, I'd do it.
I want Najee and Mike Evans.
Yeah, well, I assume that's who he's – based on the way it's wording, it seems like that's who you're trying to acquire. If you're getting Najee and Mike Evans, both formats, I'm doing it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, season long and or dynasty. I'm on board for having Najee on my team. Period. I think after we get rid of the horrendous thing that we call Big Ben at quarterback, I think his life's going to be changed. To be honest with you, I don't care about the speculation, but I would love to see Aaron Rodgers play football for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I need that to happen. It's not going to.
But it's possible this season you'll get to see Dwayne Haskins play football for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yes, starting Kyle Pitts this week over Dawson Knox. Yes, 100%, 1,000%, 1,000,000,000,000%. We're all in on Kyle Pitts on this podcast this week.
Although Dawson Knox isn't bad, depending on who your flex options are, I might play them both.
Yeah, who's in your flex spot? I was about to say the same exact thing. Who's in that flex spot? Because honestly,
Knox is tight end 5 on the year.
They're playing Kansas City this week too, and that's going to be a high-scoring game. So I guarantee you, it would not surprise me if that Chiefs Bills game ends up being like 13-10, just because we expect there to be 90 points scored.
Don't put that hate on me. I have all those assets so high.
AJ Green, not Brown. Gainwell.
Yeah, because honestly, the problem with the Cardinals receivers, and this is why I wouldn't hesitate to bounce Hopkins for Mike Evans right now. It's not that Hopkins isn't a more talented player, but the Cardinals have an embarrassment of riches. They have 2 running backs, a tight end, and 4 receivers who are all involved, which is great from an NFL standpoint, part of why they're 4-0. But from a fantasy standpoint, that's going to be a little bit of a living nightmare, because we've seen all those guys hit at various points in time, but I don't think you can rely on them necessarily to hit. And it doesn't seem like there is a stable floor for any of those guys aside from Hopkins and Chase Edmonds, which means AJ Green could give you 20 points or he could give you 1.5 points. I feel like Gainwell has a more stable floor, maybe not as high of a ceiling, but has a much more stable floor.
So our guy came back with his his flex is Corey Davis.
I probably am. Corey Davis is possibly intriguing because the Jets are playing the Falcons, and the Falcons don't really have a defense either. That's a tough one.
Yeah, it's a coin flip for me between Corey Davis and Dawson Knox.
I'm definitely not playing Alex Collins.
Yeah, I would definitely not do that either. I would say I lean Corey Davis. He
probably has a higher ceiling.
He's got 17 targets in the last 2 games. And Dawson Knox, although he's been fantastic, there's a lot of mouths to feed in Buffalo. And I'm not saying Dawson Knox is not going to get his. He probably will, but I lean just a little bit Davis over Knox in that flex spot. Just a little bit. It's close. Coin flip it. I mean, I'm just being honest. It's really close though, because I mean, Pitts for me over Dawson Knox for sure, I think. And then from there, it's Davis or Knox, whoever you wake up Sunday morning and be like, you know what, I'm going to ride that train. I
was high on Pitts even before Ridley came out because Marcus May is out for the Jets. Their safety, and I think with Ridley going out, this feels like the week that we get.
You got Russell Gage out. You've got Ridley out. I mean, somebody's going to have to catch the ball.
Olamide Zaccheaus is still there. What is it? Frank Darby? I think they still have. It might be a good game for Hayden Hurst too, because they probably roll a lot of they'll probably play Pitts more like a wide receiver.
Is it crazy to me that Mike Davis is still getting his, even though Cordell Patterson is still being – I had Cordell Patterson on my bench last week. I just wanted to share that with everybody. So
that's because you didn't read my sit starts. I'm pretty sure he was my start last week.
I had other running backs, okay? I did not start him for – and you know what? I was in the Scott Fish Bowl. I didn't start him. But you know what I did? I won anyway, baby. What are you in the Scott Fish Bowl right now?
2-2. Last week I got decimated. I'm pretty sure I lost by 100 points. I went and looked at the score and I was like, well, that happened. Chark hurt me because I started him, and I had finally gotten ticked off and benched Hunter Henry, and of course he touchdown.
Yeah, my Jonnu Smith love is starting to hurt my heart a little bit.
I don't understand why the Patriots spent almost $100 million on two tight ends that they only occasionally use. But, apparently we should have known that the Patriots are going to treat every fantasy position the same way they treat running back.
Yeah, I've got I'm 3-1 this. Yeah, I am 3-1 in the Scott Fish Bowl, baby. 3-1 on the Scott Fish Bowl.
Last year I was 0-4 and rallied to just narrowly miss the playoffs, so I'm feeling a little better about it. 2-2 in this trade. I traded Kupp and Saquon for I would have kept in. If it's redraft, I would have kept Kupp and Saquon Barkley because Saquon's rounding into shape and Kupp looks like a top 5 receiver.
I don't know if he lost it yet. Ridley, you'd have to keep an eye on. I mean, I'd rather have Kupp, but is Kamara a start? Because I might have some other guys that could.
Yeah, he's RB4 for me this week.
Yeah, he's
the only Saint I actually feel confident in. It's lame that they didn't target him last week, but he still had 100. He put up 12 points without getting a single target or getting into the end zone. He's the only reliable piece of their offense. Yeah, and the Washington football team ranked 30th against the points against. They're 23rd against the pass, 19th against the run. They have not been good this year. And Jones got injured, so they don't really have much behind Kamara except for they made Ty Montgomery, who was a running back, who they made convert back to receiver when they had no receivers. They have now made convert back to running back because they had no running backs. So what a time to be alive.
Sometimes I feel like we're going back a decade or 10. You know what I mean? So I don't even know. But we want to thank everybody that dropped in some questions this week. We went kind of all over the place. We appreciate that for jumping in. Who jumped in late? We don't mind. If you have any questions, hit us up on Twitter. We will gladly answer your questions on Twitter at Nighthawk7734 and myself at @RickyValero_. I don't blame you for the trade at all. I mean, it's
tough.
It's a tough trade because, I mean, Saquon, I don't know when you
Ridley was my pick to be wide receiver 1 this year. I went all in on him in a bunch of redraft leagues. It just doesn't look like it's going to quite.
And you can't help with CMC injury. You know what I mean? Because when CMC's on the field, he's probably the best. He is probably the best fantasy running back in football. So I still think that you can still make out. I really do. Like you might have lost in the long term, but I think you still have a chance that you can make the playoffs with those two guys. You didn't get slums. At least you didn't trade Kupp and Saquon for bums. That's what just get your guys healthy and you could be on the winning stretch down there. So thank everybody for tuning in this week. We really do appreciate it. We did kind of alter the shift and start recording a day early, but here we are. And thank you for tuning in. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for listening. And until next time, we'll talk to you guys later.